Hey YouTube, how's it going today? What are we doing? We are working on a 2016 Civic today. Want to see what we're doing? Watch that intro, stick around, and I'll show you. Alright, thanks for sticking around. Today, like I said, we're doing up this Honda Civic. It's 2016, and it's going to get a little bit of thump in the back. I got a pair of 12s to go in, along with our WDX amp. It's a WDX 2000.1. As you can see, 2000 Class D model block amp. Has your 4-gauge inputs, a few other nice little features. Altogether, I like that amp. I've put a bunch of them in. They've worked great, small, solid, and I've never seen one come back yet. So I'm happy with it, and the customer here will be too. So we'll power that up because we are still using the factory radio. We have your WaveTech 2-channel line-out converter, and we're going to show you how that hooks up. We're going to hook them up to the rear speakers and get our signal from there. And for the subs, you're just going to have to stick around to see what I put in them. So in the meantime, I'm going to go grab our T-Spec 4-gauge power wire kit and get running some wire. So stick around, I'll show you how we do it. Alright, so here we are, still under the hood of this car. As you can see, I've got the power wire run, and see if I can't get some light. Won't be able to see far in there, but you can see it goes there. There's a nice little wire harness with a grommet coming through the firewall, and if you've got a decent push rod tool, whether it's zip lock or one of the zip ties, or go old school and even use a coat hanger, it works wonderful for getting through there. Then I went ahead and I've created a little spot that I'm going to use to mount the fuse holder on, and it's going to go right there, right next to where the battery is. And then once that's done, I'll bolt it down. Our little T-Spec fuse holder is going to go right there, mounted underneath, and make everything nice, clean, secure, and professional looking. So I'm going to go finish up this mount and get the fuse holder mounted, get everything looking a little bit better, and show you as we go. So stick around, I'll be right back. Alright, so as I just showed you, I had the power wire run, and now we have that fuse holder finished. I got to zip tie that power wire to make it look a little nicer, but you can see how the fuse holder just kind of tucks in there. I've got that extra little bolt right there, so if you have to do something, you can take this right out, get to the battery, make serviceability easy, and then we're going to have our power wire hook up here, and once we're done, it'll look factory. One thing I like about these T-Spec fuse holders, they've got rubber ends on them to help keep the moisture out, which makes them a little bit better for under the hood, a little more water resistant, so the wiring doesn't get as much moisture into it. It's actually a really nice quality product. I'm quite happy with them, used them many times. The fuse holders are nice and small. The mounts pivot so you can, if you have to have the mounts one way, you can turn around and turn the fuse so it's sitting 90 degrees the other way, or whatever is needed. Easy to adjust, and all kinds of different ways to mount it. So I'm going to continue on here. The reason, some I know are probably questioning why this is still red. That's not finished yet. I still got to connect it to the battery terminal, but I'm not going to do that till I finish running the rest of this power wire. And then once I do, I'll adjust everything here, if I got to shrink this down a little bit more to make it so there's not as much of a bend or a curve, that's when I'll do it. And then once it's all said and done, that'll be one of the last things I do, is cover up that wire. So I'm going to continue on, show you what we do, and get running the rest of this power wire. So stick around. Alright, so as you saw, we ran the power wire under the hood. Right there, goes along there. Again, I haven't zip tied anything yet for here, just because I know I have to come back and work under the hood, so in case I have to move something, I'm going to leave it right there. However, inside the car, you can see we got the wiring coming down here, and then we've got it all split loomed the whole way down and into the back along there, and then it goes and comes out in the trunk, to which brings us to our next step. I'm going to wire up the line out converter, the little WaveTech 2-channel amp, or WaveTech 2-channel line out converter we have. Plus, before I get too much putting things back together, we have the bass dial for the amp as well that we will be installing. It's just a little small one, normal one for the DB Drive, just this little guy. However, I will be taking it out of the package, stripping it down, making it nice and small, and putting it in one of these empty spots. Alright, so thanks for sticking around after I just so rudely interrupted by a dead battery. But as I was saying, I'm going to be mounting the bass dial for the amp in the dash there, and I've got it done. So now, when I go to put it in the car, or back in the dash, it's just going to slide right into that little pocket there, and look just like that. Looks almost factory. Got a little cleanup left to do on it, get it mounted in there permanently, and hook it up. Wires are already run for it, so I can plug it in and work on the trunk and get that line out converter hooked up so I can get the rest of the amp wired. So I'm going to go do that. I'm going to put the dash back together and get ready to start working on that line out converter, show you the speakers, the wires, what we do, and let me know what you think. So while I go do that, go grab that subscribe button down there and click like, drop a comment, let me know what you think of the work so far, and you can even make fun of my lack of speech, I want to call it, getting lost in what I'm trying to say, but hey, it's all good. Let me know what you think of the job, and stick around, see what it looks like in the end. So be right back. Alright, but one thing I did forget to make mention of is, because we're running the factory radio right now, we do need to get some kind of an ignition source to turn that amp on. I'm not going to use any DC offset or anything like that. I'm going straight off the ignition harness. So I've got, as you can see, I got the ignition harness apart here, and for the accessory power, it is this wire here, the orange wire. So I'm going to be using the orange wire to power the amp, and that's going to go through the remote on, which still got to tuck up out of the way, but that's where I'm going to get the signal to turn the amp itself on. Now, I do have an aftermarket radio for this car. The customer supplied it, but it's one of those Android ones, and the fitment's not good at all. And I'm waiting to hear back from the company if there's a mistake with the unit that was sent, or if it's just that bad of a fit. And if it is that bad of a fit, then I'm not going to install it because it's going to look kind of horrible. So in the meantime, I'm going to use that ignition wire. It's straight off the car. These cars have a beautiful thick gauge wire harness there, and they can handle that extra little tiny bit. So I'm going to go put things back together and get working on the back. Alright, so here we are, getting ready to hook up the line-out converter. As you can see, I've got this speaker disconnected. Now, you have a brown and a yellow wire. I'm not sure which one's positive at this moment, and that's why I've got my speaker tester. You can do the same thing with a 9-volt battery. The only difference is it's a little bit easier, better to use. All I do is I'm just hooking up these two leads to the speaker itself. Now the speaker is disconnected, obviously, and I push the speaker test button and see which way the cone moves. Cone's moving in, which tells me I've got this backwards. So we flip them around, test it, speaker moves outwards, so now we know for sure this one here is the positive wire, which when we look at the connector means our yellow is positive. So we've just confirmed that. So now we're just going to split the wire loom here open a little bit and expose the wires and create a spot for us to hook up the wiring for the line-out converter. Now, one thing I see a lot of people will do, and it's real annoying, is they'll cut this harness off and make it not usable again. And they'll use a zip tie or something, try to put it back together so you can still use the factory speaker. So rather than doing all that, just pull this back a little bit, connect up to here, further back, and away we go. Now for the wiring, I took apart, I have some speed wire here, and I took out the green and the purples, so that way it matches the aftermarket color codes. And yes, I will be soldering these wires. I'm just hooking them up right now, like this, and I will be soldering them, securing them up there. I'm just hooking them up for right this second to get it done, and only have to get out of the trunk once for this side. Get old fat like I am, getting in and out of the trunks aren't as easy as it used to be. So there. So as you just saw, I confirmed that the yellow side was the positive. So we have the solid green wire going to our positive, our green with black on our negative. So now I'm going to go get that soldering gun, solder them, tape them, and we're going to go to the passenger, over to the passenger side. So stay around, I'll be right back. Alright, so here we are, passenger side. We're going to do the exact same test. I'm going to put the negative right there, positive on this side, see which way the cone moves. Cone's moving in. So, now the cone moves outwards. So now we know this side here is the positive, which would be the blue wire, because we have a blue and we have an orange. So the blue wire is our positive wire. So again, just like the other side, we're not going to take apart the harness itself. and strip some wires back. And for this side, we have our purple and black wires, just like your aftermarket color codes. So you put the purple, solid purple on the positive, purple with a black stripe on the negative, which again, positive is blue, negative is orange. Twist that one around there. And on this side, you'll get to see me solder some wires. I know it sounds like so much enjoyment, so fun. But at least knowing the wires are soldered, at least you'll know that, or the customer will know that it's a solid connection and it's not going to fall apart or come apart or cause problems in the future. And just like that. There. Grab my tape. And we'll get them taped up and everything's ready to go back together. And just like the other side, the connector's still intact. So it still plugs in the vehicle very easily. Stays secured just like the factory did. And if by some chance they ever decide to take this out, you can easily just get to these wires and not have to worry about taking everything apart just to get those two wires out. Or they could be nice to the next person, leave everything in it and sell the whole install. But see, goes back in. Once done, that'll all be secured down, covered over, and look just like the factory did. So I'm gonna do that and get ready to put the amp in. So stick around. There, just like that, we are done. I will show you this whole install in a minute. But if you're working on one of these cars, I hope you learned something. Hope you figured out how to run the power wire through the firewall or even hook up the rear speakers. But nonetheless, we have it done. So there's the fuse holder. You can see how it's tucked in there, nice underneath all the other wires. And the wire goes off. We also have it bolted down so it's nice and secure, nice and solid. Then we have that base dog we were talking about that you saw me doing up. There it is there. I got to finish wiping down the interior, but it makes a real easy way to adjust for the base. Looks nice, tucked in there. And then we have the amp. Got tucked in there nicely. Kind of dark in the back of this car with the windows tinted and stuff, but You can see it's tucked in there. Wires are all nice and tucked out of the way. And then we have our PowerBass 12s. Prefab box with the ports right there in the middle. And the line converter. Well, I can't show it to you because it's hiding. But you can see no wires are dangling down. Everything looks like it did from the factory. So with that, we are done. All I got left to do is just give the interior of the car a quick wipe down. Get rid of all my fingerprints, my dirt, stuff like that. And let the customer know that it's ready. So if you like this video, if you like the knowledge that's in there, information, anything, drop me a like. Hit the subscribe button. I was impressed to see 154 subscribers, to see if you can't get that up more. But all in time, I guess. So this is the last video of the year. You won't see it till next year, 2025, just because I got to edit. But I hope to keep the channel growing for next year and maybe make some bigger, better videos and get some better equipment. Maybe a GoPro that lasts longer than 20 minutes with the batteries. Never know. But so till next time, go hit that subscribe button. Drop a like, drop a comment, let me know what you think. And remember, keep it loud, stay warm.